Hey everyone, welcome. Today, we're literally pulling back the curtain on the hidden machinery that powers the modern commercial world. In this explainer, our goal is to completely demystify digital marketing. We're going to look right past those flashy ads on your feeds and dive straight into the science, the data, and the carefully crafted strategies that brands are using every single day to capture our attention. Get ready, because once you see how this ecosystem truly operates, you're never going to look at your smartphone the exact same way again. Here is our roadmap for this explainer. First, the digital marketing revolution. Then, knowing the digital consumer. After that, we'll hit the omni-channel arsenal, measuring the digital ROI. And finally, we'll wrap up with the dark side of data. Let's get into it. Okay, section 1, the digital marketing revolution. Let's dive right in to how this all changed. To really wrap our heads around this shift, check out this staggering stat from Coca-Cola. Out of the hundreds of millions of Coke-related views on YouTube every single year, only 18% are actually from content made by Coke itself. That means a massive 82% is created by consumers, you and me. Modern brands, they aren't just broadcasting at us anymore. They completely rely on their fans to co-create the story. So there is a really stark contrast here. Traditional mass media was all about big budgets and one-way broadcasting, just shouting a single message out into the void. But digital co-creation, it's all about interactivity, building communities, and genuinely engaging with people. And this is exactly why Coca-Cola took a huge 35% of its paid media budget away from traditional ads. They shifted it to an interactive digital model because, honestly, today's empowered consumers often generate way more compelling content than a company ever could on its own. Moving right along, section 2, knowing the digital consumer. To succeed in this interactive space, brands need to know exactly who's sitting on the other side of the screen. Enter digital consumer personas. Marketers crunch a massive wealth of data to build these incredibly detailed, nuanced blueprints of their target customers. They're looking at implicit needs, lifestyle fit, learning styles, tech preferences, the whole shebang. And it's kind of wild to think about because, well, we are the very personas being meticulously mapped out here. Once they know who we are, they map out exactly how we move. This is called omni-channel navigation behavior. Think about your own day. You might start by Googling a product on your phone while you're waiting in line for coffee. Then, maybe later, you hop onto social media to read some reviews or watch an unboxing. And finally, you switch to your laptop to actually buy the thing on their website. Marketers absolutely have to understand these seamless jumps so they can serve you the right content at the exact right place and at the perfect moment in your journey. Let's move to section 3 and see how this builds, the omni-channel arsenal. Just follow the money here. Digital advertising now grabs about 54% of all U.S. ad budgets, leaving traditional media with 46%. But here is the real kicker. Mobile advertising by itself now accounts for 34% of all U.S. ad spending. Think about that. Marketers are literally spending more money to reach you on that little screen in your pocket than they are on traditional television advertising. And all that digital spend, it goes into an incredibly diverse, constantly expanding arsenal. We're talking image and video platforms, messaging apps, microblogs, location-based services, wikis, review sites, live streams, and even the metaverse. It's not just banner ads anymore. Each platform serves a very specific purpose, helping brands build hyper-targeted communities and jump into real-time marketing right where the conversations are already happening. But you know, for all the flashy new social media apps and metaverse hype out there, a basic truth remains: email is still king. Roughly 90% of marketers still use it. Why? Because direct, permission-based email marketing is low cost and yields a massive return on investment. The key word there is permission, where you actually opt in so the brand adds value instead of just becoming annoying spam clogging up your inbox. All right, section 4, measuring the digital ROI. We've seen the strategies, now let's look at the hard math. Now, what's really interesting here is just one single number, 4.3%. To prove these concepts, let's look at an ingenious campaign by the fashion retailer Uniqlo down in Australia. They set up these fast-moving digital billboards, flashing images at like 20 to 30 frames per second. Embedded in that blur was a unique product code. If you snapped a quick photo with your phone and caught the code, you got a free clothing sample. For context, the industry average for clicking on a banner ad is incredibly low, roughly 0.05%. Uniqlo's campaign? It hit an absolutely staggering 4.3%. So let's check out the final scoreboard for this to see the undeniable science of digital marketing in action. The campaign cost Uniqlo $150,000. From that, they generated over 45,000 orders. The total revenue generated? A massive $3.45 million. Oh, and out of all those interactions, only 450 shopping carts were abandoned. It is the perfect example of how an interactive, gamified digital approach can just blow the roof off profitability when it's done correctly. Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, the dark side of data. Because, this hyper-connected ecosystem isn't just about clever campaigns and big profits. We have to explore the complex public policy issues that come with it. It prompts a really crucial question. Is it ethical for companies to gather deeply personal data from our devices to dictate the prices we pay? Marketers have the tools to dynamically adjust prices based on real-time tracking. But when things get that personalized, we really need to examine the trade-offs happening behind the scenes. And this perfectly illustrates that exact ethical tension. Take Progressive Insurance's Snapshot device. You plug it into your car, and it monitors how hard you brake, your speed, the time of day you drive. On the one hand, there is immense value. Safe drivers who opt in get lower insurance rates. But on the flip side, the privacy concerns are significant. Critics argue this kind of tracking monitors location and habits way too intimately, and it risks unintentionally penalizing low-income drivers who might live out in the suburbs and simply have to drive more frequently to commute. It's a visceral conflict between consumer value and societal equity. Because of tensions exactly like that, surveys show 77% of U.S. consumers are very concerned about their privacy. And as a result, we're seeing intense regulatory pushback globally to curb these excesses. Governments and industry groups are stepping in. The European Union implemented the strict GDPR rules. Over in the U.S., COPPA requires tight privacy policies for anything targeting kids. Even the Digital Advertising Alliance has issued principles demanding transparency, giving consumers the power to finally opt out of behaviorally targeted ads. Ultimately, it leaves us with this final, provocative thought. As digital marketing continues to evolve, seamlessly tracking our omnichannel steps to offer us exactly what we want right when we want it, where is the line between ultimate consumer convenience and the complete loss of our personal privacy? It's a tension that truly defines the modern digital age. Definitely something to keep in mind every time you tap, scroll, and click. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I encourage you to take a closer look at your own digital footprint today.